This is an episode here.
I don't.
This is solid. I feel like this is some of our best work. This episode.
I don't know what you've been watching, but
You will see in the edit, sir.
You
There
said
is
that-
magique.
I'm here with Snippins, Lishy, Precious Boo Boo, also known as Brina, and today we're talking Josephs with friends who love to give each other the business. So Snippins, you're on a little trip.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you on this trip?
Don't bring kids.
Place and you relax and you do things you want to do and not worry about stuff.
But that you can do that at home is what I'm saying. So why are you specifically?
Not when you live with a Brad.
Oh, you're trying to get away from.
Brad.
Brad to the bone. Is Brad a child?
Well,
No.
emotionally, Brad is her Joseph. Like I have a Joseph. He's like the cross to bear friend that you have. That everybody either has a Joseph or you are a Joseph to somebody.
I know exactly who you're talking
I'm
about.
Joseph.
What?
I'm a Joseph. Be somebody's Joseph because I don't have one. Fuck. Joe's such a moron. Well, that's me.
So Briad is Snippins' Joseph.
Expand on the concept of the Joseph.
The
Yeah,
Joseph-
because I just found out that I'm a Joseph.
Yeah.
Well,
We need to see if we're all a Joseph.
so usually what happens with having a Joseph is, so my Joseph is like he cock blocks me. I've known him forever. Do you cock block? Have you ever cock blocked? Yes, you have. See, so like the Josephs is they cock block. They're like somebody that's in your life forever. So you've known for a very long time, but it's like a cross to bear friend. And usually they're nothing but trouble. Most of the things that I've done with Joseph have gotten me into trouble. You keep dragging the Joseph along. Now you can get rid of your Joseph. So my Joseph right now is in LA and I'm in Michigan. So I'm not around my Joseph.
At the conceptual level, I thought you meant like your friend who's like an asshole, but he's your asshole, or like your group's asshole,
Kind of.
you know? But this is a little bit more particular. Like the whole like he's a cock blocker. You always get into trouble with him. Sometimes you just have that.
Let me give you a Joseph story, which I think encompasses what the Joseph is. So
Okay.
when I was in college, I was dating this girl who I called Agent Scully because she looked like Agent Scully from X-Files. So Agent
Delicious.
Scully is out on the patio, and I'm at my friend's house. So I'm like, I go in to get us drinks because we're at this little party. So then as I'm walking into the house, Joe passes me because Joe was visiting Irvine. So I passed Joe who's walking outside, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm not leaving Joe out there with Agent Scully for even a second because I know my Joseph. So I run inside as fast as I can, and I make two very quick drinks, very fast, Precious Boo Boo, faster than you can even imagine. And then I run back outside, and then Joe's walking back in as I'm walking out, and he has a Joseph smirk. Now, Joseph smirk is what he does when he knows he's done something terrible. And then I look at Agent Scully, and she is crying her eyes out, just bawling her eyes out. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm like, how am I going to I'm like, how could he have, in that very short amount of time, he's never met her before. So he had to somehow run out there while I was making drinks, introduce himself, and somehow make her cry. So then I go up to her, and I'm like, what are you crying for? And she's like, who's Holly? And I'm like, what? And she's like, who's Holly? And I'm like, that's my first girlfriend when I was 17. And she's like, Joe said you'll never love me because you only love Holly. And I don't know.
Why would he say that?
I don't know how he just met this person, how he got around to doing it, and years later I've asked him, how did you do it? And he does thinks it didn't happen, so he denies it. And then when I finally break him, he's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got her to cry so fast. But he somehow managed to introduce himself and cock block me and get out of there in a very quick time that I just made two little drinks and went outside. It's temporarily.
I have a very specific set of skills that make me dangerous to Agent Scully's.
Yeah, so
I have questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. One, do you think that Joseph did that with the full intention of upsetting her?
No,
He just accidentally stumbled into that?
no, it wasn't an accident either. Joe, look, have you ever seen a shark? And it has
Yes.
those little attaching little fishies that they're
Uh-huh.
just waiting for the food to miss its mouth so that they can enjoy the pilot fish. that
Mhm.
attach themselves to a shark. Now they're just waiting for the shark to feast so that they can also feast. That's what a Joseph is. So it's a pilot fish that waits for a delicious meal. Like he's basically, this is his frame of reference. He's like, well, now that Bonies is a jerk, now will you go out with me? That's what
So so you believe that he walked out there, he walked through the sliding glass door. His goal was, I'm going to drive a wedge between her and Ramon,
Yes.
and then I'm going to shtup her.
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly what it is. Well, look, there's different types. I wouldn't say like Brad wouldn't do that to Snippins. Snippins, has Brad cockblocked you?
No, but I'm a female and he's a male.
Right. So I'm saying there's different kinds. I mean, there's different strata of, but it's still the same idea of the cross to bear friend. But has Brad ever done anything that you would consider bad to you, Snippets?
Yes.
Yes. But he's still your Brad, right? I mean, you could kick him out. You could do the thing that people do, which is, I will never speak to that person again. That person's bad for my life, that kind of thing. But he's your Briad, so you won't. That's what makes him a Joseph.
Okay. I have a Joseph follow-up question. Then I have a Brad question.
Go ahead.
Okay, Joseph question. Without saying exactly what he did, what did you think he would do when you saw him passing by you? When you saw him heading out to the balcony with Agent Dana Scully,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, "Oh God, I can't let him be out there." What in your mind? What was the scenario of what he would have done?
That he would do something to not make her cry. I had no idea that was going to happen. But he would be like, did I ever tell you Bonies has herpes? Or something embarrassing.
and or AIDS.
Embarrassing.
My Joseph was BJ. My
What?
friend BJ, who told the girl that I had AIDS and or herpes. That was
Right.
my Joseph.
Well, yeah, that's your Joseph.
And or.
Did I not tell that on this?
No.
Really? How? Okay. Well, the Brad question. Give us an example of Brad being your Brad.
Wait, I don't give a fuck about Brad anymore. I want to hear about the AIDS herpes.
It was after high school because I was working at Cyberlink at the time. It was towards the tail end of Cyberlink. I was having a rebound with a girl who happened to have the same name as my ex. And it was tumultuous, to say the least. We did not get along well, but we would hook up and kind of see each other. She didn't go to the same school as I did beforehand or anything, but she so happened to know my Joseph Brad named BJ, Brad Joseph. He was actually Bert John, but she knew BJ somehow. And she had mentioned, like, hey, I'm kind of seeing this guy who went to your school. BJ said, who? She said, Bobby. And he's like, Bobby such and such? She said, yes. He goes, oh my God, you need to get tested. Bobby has AIDS and or herpes. She flipped out. She got in her car. She drove down to where Bonies and I worked, our little cyber cafe. She comes in, she flings the door open. It like hits off the hinge. Now everyone who's in there turns to face her as she walks down, and like our counter was in the back of the room, so you had to essentially like walk the catwalk to get up to where we would work. So she walks through all these people, and she's like shouting my name, and I'm looking at her like, what the fuck is going on? And she says very loudly in front of all of our customers, you never told me you had AIDS and or herpes. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I was incredulous because, well, this is news to me. It was insane. At this point now, everyone's laughing. I'm perplexed. I don't understand what's happening. There's like a brief screeching, like a brief screeching, and then she storms out. Over the next few days, I pieced together that BJ had told her, and I end up getting on the phone with BJ. I say, put me on the phone with him. And as I lift the phone receiver up, he's just hysterically laughing. So her and I did not date much longer than that. Perhaps she was afraid of the AIDS and or herpes. But a year later, she had reached out to me to, I guess, check in or something. And I did not respond to her. And she began reaching out to a number of my friends that she knew. And without prompting, without like any setup or anything, multiple different friends told her I had died of AIDS and or herpes. She got worried that she then had to get tested and stuff. It was a whole thing. My friends were not good people.
I will say for the next several weeks at Cyberlink, the internet cafe, the chats would blow up with Boo Boo has AIDS and or herpes.
And or herpes.
The fatal herpes.
AIDS and or herpes.
And
it was the
public server too. So like people in the Las Vegas area saw that. so I don't even know how many people.
And look at me, that was 20 some odd years ago. I really beat the odds.
Mm. You really did.
You're like
Really,
Magic
Magic
Johnson.
Johnson of AIDS and
Yeah.
herpes.
Yeah. I couldn't, but I thought she was kidding at first. So I was kind of like looking at her like, but then I could tell she was really upset and really worried about having AIDS and or herpes. And I tried to explain, like, you realize how ridiculous that sounds. You're saying AIDS and or herpes. It's not multiple choice. And she just got more and more angry with me. Give us an example of Brad being your Brad.
Well, he just pretty much destroys everything in his path and makes it absolutely disgusting to where you just don't feel like it'll ever be clean again.
I'm
But
pretty
that's
sure
one of the-
my sister thinks about my house, even though
Brad came here for one weekend, and every counter he touched had a stickiness to it that I
And
can't.
see, that's the thing is I try to explain this to people and they think I'm exaggerating
No, she's not exaggerating.
until people witness it and they're like, why is everything so sticky and crusty?
He has a film, I think, just secreting from him, or something.
He's like a lizard.
Like when I grabbed my refrigerator door, there was like a crustiness on the
I have to
inside.
clean my refrigerator doors, my microwave handles. I have to do that every single day.
you
Does
ever
he
asked
not wash his hands?
pour salt on him just to see if he was a banana slug or not?
He showed me his phone. He wanted me to look at something on his phone, and all I could see were his fingers coming towards me, and I just was so distracted I couldn't even.
Does he smoke?
He smokes and he drinks profusely.
Drinks in the morning.
He drinks when he wakes. As soon as he wakes up in the morning, he's drinking.
I think
yeah.
my takeaway here is it's hilarious that you brought this person to a stranger.
I
Well-
asked Boney, and he
I
wanted
said
you to bring
it's
him.
fun. I said bring the Briette because look, I miss my Joseph tremendously.
You can smell him when he gets home from work, even though you can't see him.
I love the Brad. He's my surrogate Joseph.
And he just walks in and like does this with his hand and then takes his other hand and lifts his shirt up and like scratches his belly like this in front of you while he's talking to you. And
He's like a cartoon character.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And then one time, actually on more than one occasion, me and Rob were sitting at the kitchen table eating dinner, and he came into the kitchen, pulled his pants down to show us tick bites on his inner thigh right underneath his ball sack.
That's insane. That's
That's
madness. All right. Well,
yeah.
Brad's a different kind of Joseph.
That's an entirely different type of Joseph.
Yeah.
I think it stays into the whole Joseph milieu in that they're unaware of
The world around them and how it perceives them.
how to behave in a social interaction.
Can you explain to us how Lishy could have been someone's Joseph now?
Well, I don't know, Lishy. You have your own
I was
relationship.
a punching bag. I was Clark's punching bag.
That's
I think
different.
there's a
That,
difference.
that is not what they've established by the Joseph and Brad.
No.
theory.
I
Because
will
I
say,
feel
I
like-
will say, now Snippins, you have to be a little honest here. You do attack your Briette.
Yeah, but he is very disrespectful to me.
Yes, well, I attack my Joseph constantly for the same reason.
How is the Brad disrespectful?
Well, he lived at my house for like 10 years without paying rent. And when I told him that he had to pay $500 a month in rent, he accused me of being a Nazi. He doesn't pay any bills. He just pays me $500 a month to live there. He eats our food, leaves the food all over the place. It's just it's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you cross the line from being a victim to a volunteer.
That is the thing. You're carrying your Joseph, and the mere fact that you're carrying your Joseph.
Well, the thing
You're
was,
enabling.
I was married for 10 years.
You're kind of enmeshed at this point, right?
Right. Well, see, Brad wasn't always that way. Like, Brad's been my friend. I considered him my best friend. I mean, we've been friends for 25 years. And
Like somebody's not a murderer until they actually take somebody's life, right? Like he was a really nice, quiet guy until he murdered the president.
I was married for 10 years, and he didn't pay rent during that time. And when I got divorced, I was like, look, if you're going to stay here, I need...
Married to Brad?
No, he lived at my house with me and my husband. I got divorced, and so I was like, listen, you're going to have to pay me like $500 a month to stay here, which he took as an affront.
This has been the Never Right Podcast with friends who love giving each other the Josephs.
Oh my God, when Brad sees this episode, he's going to be so mad.
Well, he's very disrespectful to Snippin so far.
He deserves to be really mad. Did you say anything that was untrue?
No.
Maybe the snail part.
This
Oops.
is all
No,
stuff-
that's
this is all
absolutely
stuff-
accurate.
This is all stuff she says to him on an hourly basis. So I have tallied our votes, and feel free to write in the comments section who you think is never right in this episode.
Brad's never right.
I second that. Anybody opposed?
No.
Unanimous consent.
Wait, get Robbie in on the vote.
He said definitely Brad.
Let's go. Touchdown.
Give me a genuine Briette. One of my favorite things Snippins does is when she yells Briette, and she has
Briette!
Yeah, I like the quick, fast one. That's my favorite.
You're never right.
I love my Briette. Give me one Brad on the way out.
Brad!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more content from the Never Right podcast.